Ladies and gentlemen, hello and welcome back to a video on the Lowsey channel, and today we're back with a football video. Now you might be seeing this in 2026, so Happy New Year. I hope this year is a brilliant year for you. I hope it's 100 times better than 2025, and I hope everyone stays safe. But today we are back with a video, and as you've seen the title, it's ranking the Premier League managers so far of the 2025 to 2026 season. Now before we get into the video, please remember, you've got to like, you've got to subscribe, and you've got to comment. And without further ado, let's get into the video. Premier League managers. Who should we start with? I think we should start with Iraola. Now, Bournemouth this season started off very, very good. Everyone's like, are Bournemouth going to get Champions League football? Bournemouth. And then it's went, shh. It's dropped straight off a cliff. Like, straight off a cliff. I don't know what's happened. They're losing Semenyo in January. If this was, like, the start of the season, they continued as the way, I would have put Iraola in very good. Now it's Bournemouth, so it's all right. Like, what else can you say? He's not doing very good, because if he was doing very good, that's kind of what he would have did at the start of the season in terms of staying up there or staying close to there. But now he's on, like, what, 22 or 23 points? They've dropped a lot of points recently is what I'm trying to say. So he's all right manager-wise, I would say. I don't think he's very good. I don't think he's world-class, and he's definitely not God tier. He's not a dirty, dirty rat. I think you've already guessed by the accent who's going in dirty, dirty rat. And he's not stinking, come on. He's a decent manager. He's all right. That's why he's in that category. But let's go to Reggie Lebris now. Moving on. So, let's go to David Moyes. You know what it is with David Moyes, what an outstanding job he's done with Everton. They're in 7th. They're losing players. They've lost a lot of players to AFCON. Grealish has been injured the last few games. He's been on the bench. And he's somehow got Dwight McNeil starting, who I don't think he's played that much for Everton since Moyes came in. He's been playing. Even Barry started to score goals now. I think he's got 2 goals both against Forest. Obviously, they've got no just gone again now. So Irabunam's been coming back into the side. I'm actually going to put, because I'm doing it on this season alone, not in just managers in general. Like managers, how they've done throughout the whole career, comes into things a little bit. But for me, I'm going to rank David Moyes this season with Everton very good, because I think 7th for Everton, it is very good compared to what they were doing back in the day, when they were nearly getting relegated under Lampard. Who came in after Lampard? Dyche, nearly getting relegated under Dyche. So I think Everton have done a fantastic job under David Moyes so far. Very good. Now let's move on to Ruben Amorim. Now a lot of money spent in the summer. Got backed in the summer after losing against Tottenham Hotspur in the Europa League final, which could have got Man United Champions League football, which would have changed everything. They backed them. They signed Cunha, they signed Mbeumo, they signed Sesko. A lot of money on them 3 players. He's not playing Manu, and everyone in the dad is screaming for Manu to be playing. He kept the same. He's only just started to change the system, but he had been keeping the system the exact same for weeks when they were losing games and everything. And then he started to pick up a bit. He was like, is he turning a corner? He beat my team, Newcastle. He got a few results before that. Then he drew 4-4 to Bournemouth. And you're thinking... And then they go draw 1-1 to 2-point Wolves at the bottom of the Premier League. I'm really tight. I'm really struggling with this one. Now, I would say... it is really hard because, again, they're close to top 4, and I think it would be a very good season if Man United get in top 4. But then I don't think they're doing all right, but I don't think they're doing stinking. But then for Man United's standard, the money they've spent, but then they've lost Diallo and Mbeumo to AFCON. I'm like, it's like this. The things are being weighed up. I'm putting them in stinking. Man United standards should be challenging for league titles, but they should be in the top 4 at least, in my opinion, with the money they spent this summer. With the players they got, it seemed like they got every single one of them in target. Sesko and Mbeumo, Cunha, So, and they should have signed a midfielder, and they probably didn't need to sign one of the attackers. They probably should have done with like Elliot Anderson or Adam Wharton, but that's their decision, isn't it? Stinking. We're going to keep him in there. We might revisit that one at the end because it does feel a bit harsh. Now, Arnie Slot this season, it's got to be stinking. Come on. They've picked up recently, they were alright against Wolves, but they went from absolutely storming the league last year. No one was even close to them, to a big drop off where they're not in the title race now. It would be very special if he could manage to turn this around and win Liverpool another league title this season. It's not going to happen. So it's a stinking season for Arne Slot, but credit in the bank. I think they'll get Champions League. I think they'll be all right, but right now it's a stinking season for Liverpool, and I think Liverpool fans would admit themselves they're having a stinking season. Now, Ollie Glasner, now again a bit of like Bournemouth situation. Started like a house on fire. They were amazing, and then Europe came thick and fast in a lot of games, and then the drop offs came. They've just been beat by Spurs. Like, it's Palace as well, so I'm weighing it up. I think all right. I think you can't put them in very good, because again, for me, very good would be being in the top 7, which they're not in the top 7. So again, it's an alright season for Ollie Glasner's Crystal Palace. I think they'll win the Conference League, which will get them into Europa League, and then if he does that, he gets elevated to here. But he doesn't touch these two categories, unfortunately, when you're managing Crystal Palace. It's impossible. You'd have to win a league title to do that. But again, I think they'll be in Europa League next season, but I don't think Ollie Glasner will be the manager there next season. I think he'll move on. I could see him getting the Man United job, to be honest with you. That's what I think will happen. Now, moving on to Maresca. At the start of the season, when they were flying, well, just before they played Arsenal, he would have been in very good. I didn't mean put him in world class. He would have been in very good because they were in the title race. And then if he won the Premier League, he would have been in world class. If he wins the Champions League, he'll be in world class. But he was there. I would have put him in very good. Now it's fell off a cliff. I don't know if I'm being harsh here, but it's stinking again, in my opinion. Like, they were so good at the start of the season, and then they lost to Arsenal, and it's like December. It feels like every December kills Chelsea. Like, they just lose control in December. Like, they drew with Bournemouth again, 2-2. Was it yesterday, I think? Yeah, yesterday. They drew 2-2 with Bournemouth. They went 1-0 up against Villa. Should have been out of sight, in my opinion, in the first half. Then they lose 2-1 to Villa. Like, a lot of results have been dropping at the moment. They were obviously drew 2-2 with Newcastle, where my team Newcastle are in bad form. So stinking season now for Maresca. And actually, there was a Sky Sports notification earlier that said, let me read it out to you on my phone because we get live updates. It said, Chelsea head coach Enzo Maresca's position under threat unless results improve in January. So then again, that indicates that Chelsea's board are thinking it's stinking now. I do think there's bigger problems than Maresca at Chelsea. I think the board are stinking as well. I think they've just signed players for the fun of it who don't really fit the system. But then I guess you could say, well, that's on the manager to make it work or change the system. But again, it's a stinking season. I'm here to rank managers, not the boardroom. Now, Unai Emery, 3rd in the Premier League. There's only one place he goes. It's world class. What a manager! What a season for Crystal Palace, for Aston Villa. They were in the title race before they played Arsenal. They're 5 points off top. They of course beat Arsenal. They won 11 games in a row. Incredible run for Villa. He's a world class manager, isn't he? His CV speaks for itself. Multiple European trophies. Had Villa in the Champions League. Brought big nights back at Villa Park, beating Bayern Munich there last season. And this season they're doing really well in Europe. Really well in the Premier League. Looks like they're going to get Champions League again. They'll probably win the Europa League, in my opinion, as well, because there's not a chance Forest are going to win it. And looking at the Europa League, I can't see any other teams beating Villa, I'll be honest with you. So, Unai Emery, world class, gets Villa into Champions League without a doubt next year. Now moving on to Rob Edwards. Now, this is a harsh one. Not one of his players that he signed as at Wolves. He came in when they lost 7 in a row. and they still haven't won a game under him. They lost 13 in a row last night until they played Man United, and then that was their first draw. They've got 3 points, haven't won in the Premier League yet. He falls into stinking. Maybe if he started at Wolves at the start of the summer window, things could have been different. Maybe he would have had a win by now. I still think they'd be in the relegation zone, but you've done nothing since you've been there. You think there'd be a manager bounce, you might at least win 2 games. There was none. Therefore, you get put in the stinking category. Now moving on to Pep Guardiola, second in the Premier League. I think the 3 points behind Arsenal, but he's God tier. He is God. He's God of the Premier League. Doesn't matter if he sits in second or third or first. He's in the title race. Obviously, you know his background. Multiple Champions Leagues, multiple Premier Leagues. He's a God tier manager. City are playing some really nice football this season. Cherky looks amazing. Foden's back to his best. Haaland scoring goals. What else do you need to say about Pep Guardiola? I'll tell you, not much. Scott Parker. Now, for me personally, this is probably going to be controversial because you're going to say, how do you have people like Arne Slot in stinking? How are you having Amarin in stinking? How is Chelsea's Maresca 5th or 6th but in stinking? Burnley's obviously totally different. In my opinion, Burnley recruited awfully. The only good 2 signings Burnley made, I thought, was Kyle Walker and Martin Dubravka. I think they're signings where I think, okay, they're good Premier League players. Like Dubravka could easily start in Newcastle's goalkeeper role. Arguably, we should have kept Dubravka. And then Kyle Walker, I think, could play for some Premier League clubs. Like I could see like a Kyle Walker playing for like a Brentford. I don't think he's a world class fullback anymore. Of course, he's not because he's playing for Burnley. But the recruitment's let Burnley down. But Scott Parker, in my opinion, he's doing an all right job. They've picked up 11 points. We beat them 3-1 last night in Newcastle, but they played really well in the second half. I think he's doing an all right job. I think if they got the recruitment right, he would do a lot better. And I think if he was at a team like, just say for example, if he went back to Fulham, or if he went back to Bournemouth, or I'm trying to think of any other clubs, even like a West Ham, I think he would do a decent job with better players available. Even though Burnley only like 2 points off West Ham or something, I do think he would do a better job with better players like Jared Bowen, like Callum Wilson. But he's doing all right for Burnley, but they're going to go down unless there's a miracle. Now Nuno, he's won 2 games out of 14 since he left Forest. Well, got sacked from Forest and went to West Ham. Stinking, to be honest with you. He's made some really questionable decisions, and I watch West Ham fan TV quite a bit, and even they've called out some of Nuno's decisions, like why you're not playing Callum Wilson. Like, he's on the bench, can you not play him? Why does Andy Irvine come in out the blue when he's crap? It doesn't make sense. In honest guy, I do like his interviews, but he's not been good since he went to West Ham. When you think of what he did last year with Forest, who, yes, have much better players than West Ham, you think, okay, West Ham will bounce back. They had a win against Newcastle, which was well deserved. I can't actually remember the other team they beat now, but other than that, they've obviously lost at home to Fulham, who were in the relegation battle before now, because I think now they're on like 23 points or 26 points now. Fulham, something like that. So yeah, it's a bad one for Nuno. Now moving on to Daniel Farke. Obviously he had a tough start. He played teams like Everton, Newcastle. At the start of the season, after the first maybe 10 games, 12 games, I would have had him here. But now, I've actually got him here because I don't think Leeds' recruitment was spectacular in the summer. Like, they signed Longstaff, who's an alright Premier League player. They signed Anton Stach from the Bundesliga, who is alright. Didn't know much about him. You don't know how he's going to do in the Premier League. They signed Noah Okafor again. I didn't expect him to be as good as he is, even though he's coming from Milan. They've got Calvert-Lewin on a free, who was doing nothing for Everton. Like, wasn't scoring goals, wasn't even starting in the end. They got Lucas Nshema, I think that's how you pronounce it, on a free transfer. Who else have they even got? They signed Lucas Perry from Lyon, which I thought was a brilliant signing. They signed the left back Goodmanson. So again, it was like, okay, not many Premier League proven players. You would say if they can get Calvert-Lewin back to the Ancelotti Calvert-Lewin, then maybe there's a chance to stay up, but they're probably going to go back down. But no, they're flying. I think they're doing really well at the moment. I think they're actually sitting above Nottingham Forest right now at the moment. I mean, let's have a look at the Premier League table. I should have probably had this prepared, but I'm pretty sure they're sitting in 16th, Leeds. Yeah, on 20 points, 6 points clear after 19 games, halfway through the season. I think that's a very good season for Leeds. I think the target for Leeds at the start of the season, it wouldn't have been top 10 or Europe. It would have been stay in the Premier League, stabilise, because I always say the first season is the hardest, and then you go again, recruit again. You're going to attract more players because you stay in the Premier League and attract better players. And at the moment, Daniel Farke's having a very good season because he's doing Leeds' his target, which is staying in the division, and 6 points clear at the moment. And West Ham don't look like winning any games soon. For me, Wolves are down and out. Burnley are out. Nottingham Forest are struggling a bit at the moment. Obviously, put a really good performance up against Man City and lost, but then play Everton at home and lost. So they're not picking up points. If Leeds can get a few more points on the board, then they probably will stay up. I think if Leeds win at least 5 more games, I think Leeds will stay in the division. Because I don't think at the bottom it's that competitive this year in terms of Wolves can't win a game. We haven't won a game. Burnley can't really win a game. They've won a few, but and then West Ham they can't buy a win to save their life at the moment. I think when was the last time they won a game? Was it start of November, end of October? So yeah, if Leeds can get 5 wins on the board, and Leeds' last game of the season, it's at the London Stadium against West Ham. They're in a good situation. I would say that it's a very good job. Moving on to Sean Dyche now with Forest again. He's come in after they sacked Nuno. They got Ange, and then Ange was there for 28 days and then got sacked or something like that. It's stinking in my opinion. I don't think Dyche is a bad manager. I think the recruitment from Nottingham Forest wasn't the best in the summer, to be honest with you. I don't think Dan and Doyle was a good signing. I struggle to understand why they've signed James McAtee because he's not even playing games. I think Amari Hutchinson was a great signing, but it took him a while to get in the team. Bakwa, he's been injured, but I didn't really see much from Bakwa. Igor Jesus has been alright, but he's not scoring enough goals. Callum Owendo, I don't understand why they signed him. Douglas Luiz, I can't really understand why they signed him because he doesn't play that much, and if he does, he comes on for the last 20 minutes. So I know there'll be some players that Sean Dyche doesn't fancy, but again, you're the manager, you've got to win games, you've got to field your best team. He's not doing that at the moment because they're getting beat at home by Everton, which an Everton team that's impacted by AFCON, you should be winning, and they didn't. So I think Sean Dyche is doing a stinking job so far this season. Now we're going to Keith Andrews, and I want to say, Keith Andrews, fair play. You're going in very good. You've been amazing this season for Brentford. Again, I should have looked at this before, but let's pick up the Premier League table. They are currently sitting quite high. They're sitting in 9th on 26 points. They've lost 8, but they've won 8, and they've drawn 2. That's a exceptional return for Brentford. It's actually, I don't even need to check this. It's a stat. This is a factual stat for you. That this is the most points in the Premier League Brentford have had at the new year. So he's actually doing better point-wise than Thomas Frank has ever done at Brentford. And Thomas Frank arguably had better players at his disposal. He had Mbeumo, he had Wissa, he had Norgard. He had, he's doing a better job. Shada, in my opinion, has been very, very good. Igor Thiago, yes, he was injured quite a bit last year, but he's the second top goal scorer in the Premier League. And I don't want to hear the penalty argument. You've got to score the penalty, you've got to win the penalties. And he's putting them away, and he's playing good. His hold of play's been really good. He's been amazing. They've lost people like Carvalho to injury. Signed Kelleher, who's been alright. Defensively, they've been solid again. Counter-attacking has been excellent from them. Keith Andrews is a solid manager. I thought he would do decent. And in my opinion, how can you discredit the man? He's been on fire for Brentford, and he's definitely 100% going to keep Brentford in this division now. Now we're moving on to Marco Silva. Now, again, a couple of weeks ago, I would have had him when they were in the relegation battle. I would have had them as stinking because last year they had a decent season. you're thinking, all right then, they've had a decent season. Now let's try and push. Let's try and get a bit higher. And they weren't doing that, but they've kicked on now. He's going in all right. They're currently sitting in 12th place on 26 points. Again, if they win one game, they're in 7th, or a point off 6th. If they win 2 in a row, you're thinking, fucking hell, Fulham are having a really good season if results go their way. So he's doing all right. If they get Europe, it would go to very good, but I don't think that'll happen. He's getting ranked in all right. Now, we're going to leave Eddie Howe last since I'm a Newcastle fan. We're going to rank Eddie last, and we're going to rank him fair. Now, we're going to move on to Fabian Hirtz/Brighton, who at the start of the season was this, and it's now dropped to this, and now it's very close to this. Now he's very Fabian Hirtz has an amazing start of the season, keeps him in all right by the skin of his teeth for me. He's on 25 points in the Premier League. He's played 19. He's won 6, drawn 7, lost 6. Now for me, he's still spent a fair bit of money, but they're relying too much on Danny Welbeck to score goals, and that's a 35-year-old Danny Welbeck. Yeah, I mean, they don't. I think there's a lot of chances Brighton are missing, which is costing them. Again, you could argue that the Fulham case, if they win one game, they're in 7th, and then they're 2 points off the top 6. But I don't think Brighton will do that well. Brighton could well, if like they could well stay there now the rest of the season, because the teams who are above them, Newcastle, Palace, Fulham, Spurs. I think the only team that'll probably finish above them is that Brighton will finish above. Sorry, is Fulham. So it's been a poor season, I think, for Hirtz. It's not stinking because it's Brighton. They're not a big club. They played in Europe once and they didn't pull up any trees in Europe. So they stay 14th for me. Now we're gonna move to who should we go to? I think we'll go Arteta, because I think it's quite easy to rank Arteta. Obviously, Arteta's not in God tier. Arteta's not in very good. This season, Arteta is in world class. If he wins the Premier League, there's an argument he could go here. It would probably take a double. It would take a double for me to think, okay, you go in there now. That's fair enough. For me, he's here. He probably goes above Emery if he wins it, but he's here. Right now, Arteta stays here. He's done a fabulous job at Arsenal this season. They're currently sitting at 45 points at the top of the Premier League, 5 points above Man City. So if Man City win their game in hand, though, it's 2 points, but still, amazing job so far. They've a lot of results last season. If you go back to the Emirates, they drew with Brighton. They turned that into a win this season. They lost to Villa. They drew to Villa at the Emirates as well last season. They've turned that into a win. So the kind of proven last season, the turning results that went against them last season around, which is to give them a really good start to the season. They've only lost twice. They've lost to Villa and Liverpool, and they lost to an amazing Dominic Szoboszlai free kick, and they lost to a very unlucky last-minute goal from Aston Villa. So, what can you say about them? They're doing a good season. It's a world-class season for Arsenal. Arsenal haven't won the Premier League in so long, so this would be such an amazing achievement for Arteta, but also for the Arsenal fans. World class. Now we're going to move to Thomas Frank's Tottenham, who, it's a poor season for Frank. I didn't expect it to go amazingly well, because I don't think they've got great players, to be honest with you. I know Brennan Johnson looks like he's going to be leaving, but I don't think Tell's a good player. I don't really think Odebear's a good player. Who else even have they got? So Tell, Odebear, fucking hell. Brennan Johnson for now, because I've still got him. Colin Moani, I don't think's excellent. The midfield, I don't think's excellent. Like, you've got Archie Gray, you've got Bentancur, Basuma. Obviously, Madison's injured, Kulusevski's injured. Obviously, they're two big players, Kulu and Madison. But I don't think Tottenham should be sitting on 25 points in 13th place after 18 games. That's level points with Brighton. You've got teams like Fulham above them. You've got teams like Palace, Brentford, Sunderland above them. He's having a stinking season. I do think he deserves time in a transfer window to try and get it right, but it's stinking. We're going to be honest, it is stinking so far. Can he turn it around? Who knows? But now let's move to my club, Newcastle, because this one hurts. Newcastle currently sitting 10th on 26 points. When we beat Crystal Palace on Sunday and then beat Leeds, That's going to put us on 29, 32 points, which is going to put us into 5th. No, 4th. So, again, it's an alright season for Newcastle so far because we got the Champions League last year. I do think by the end of the season it will end up in very good. I've got every bit of confidence in Eddie Howe in the world. Obviously, we're still in the Champions League. Looks like we're going to get playoffs, win the Carabao Cup semi-finals, still in the FA Cup. The ball hasn't been kicked yet, but we're still in the FA Cup. And then the Premier League, we're literally going to win our next 2 games at home. And everyone's going to be like, what was the panic about? Now, Newcastle fans have been very reactionary. Forgot about what this man's done for us. Yes, this man's made decisions, but everyone makes bad decisions. I remember last year when Pep had lost 7 games out of 10. Eddie Howe, in my opinion, is a very, 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 very good manager. Let him be. He will be world class in the future. Like, last season was a world class season. Well, last season was a god tier season for Eddie Howe. If I'm doing last year, it's god tier. But it's not. It's this year. And he's still a young manager. Is he just turned 49 or 48? I think he's just turned 49, if I'm right. Correct us if I'm wrong. He's got a lot of learning to do. Like, obviously, Pep was brought in at the highest level. He knows a lot. Mikel Arteta's understudied Pep. Unai Emery's been around the block for years. And, like, Eddie Howe's had 2 European seasons in his career. 2. Both in the Champions League. Like, Eddie Howe's never won a major trophy other than the Carabao Cup. Like, he's got a lot of learning to do. His recruitment has been amazing, and this season people are complaining about, well, how's Alanga been so bad? How has Ramsey not played that much? Chill out. Like, that's 2 signings he's got wrong. Have I forgot about when he signed Isak, how amazing he was? Have I forgot how good Gordon was when Gordon signed? Obviously, he's been alright this year. People scapegoat him quite a bit. Do you forget about the Bruno signing? Do you forget about the Lewis Hall signing? Do you forget about the Tino Livramento signing? Do you forget about the Chow signing? Come on. He's a good manager. Just getting scapegoat quite a bit. He's doing alright. He'll end up in very good. That's my tier list. If you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe and comment. Happy New Year. And I'll see you in the next one.